Hi, I wanted to add some ideas about fluency, especially reflecting on my experience as a high school and middle school teacher. I know that when we focus on reading instruction at the upper grade levels, we're often focusing on our students' comprehension. And this is rightly so, as we're often using reading as a way for students to understand the content that they need to learn in the class. And so often our instructional focus is on comprehension strategies and comprehension support. However, we've all had that experience where a student is reading out loud in front of class, or maybe in a small group. We see them struggling with reading, and we see that they aren't fluent. And a lot of the stuff that the textbook talks about, you recognize in terms of the students not having the speed, reading one word at a time, or reading very fast but with little expression at all. And while in a couple weeks, when we focus on the chapter on comprehension, we'll talk a lot about all the great resources and strategies there are for building comprehension. I think these experiences also realize that these are students that we have in our classroom that need help with fluency, because if they don't learn to read and put those words together into meaningful phrases, meaningful chunks of meaning, they're not going to be able to get to that level of comprehension for those texts you're using in your class. I have a couple things that I do with students, but it usually requires either small group work in the class and pulling a small group aside if within the class period, or even better, working with a few students at lunch or after school to give them some practice. One thing that I have been trying this year that was new, that I read about in this textbook, was to give students a passage that they practice and repeat again and again from a novel that we're reading. And so far we've been coming back to it, and the students are happy to see that, hey, my reading on this passage is improving. I tend to, for this, I choose a key passage that's key to the unit I'm teaching. So then also every time we go back to the passage, we can kind of build our knowledge about the novel and the ideas we're discussing. I am, for a handful of students, for 8 students that are reading below level, I'm also tracking their words per minute. So I'm giving them running records at a weekly or every other week basis, so that they're not just getting feedback on how they're doing on the standards or these graded assignments in my class, but they're also getting some idea of, are they making progress as students, as readers reading out loud. And so far they have been, every time they come back, making some gains in that. And so I think that's the encouragement and the feeling of success that they need. What I also do is have them mark up the text in terms of phrases. And so whereas before they're not seeing a prepositional phrase, or they're not seeing the verb or the subject phrase as a distinct unit of meaning in the class, or in the text, I'm teaching them how to kind of parse out those parts of the sentence, and then to read those groups of words particularly well together to improve their fluency. And so I'm teaching them to annotate in a way that's going to help them internalize that way of looking at the text and build their fluency that way. And I also think that there's ways that you can also have them underline 1 or 2 words within a sentence that they think is important, that they can emphasize when they read out loud as well, so that you can even give them those tips for building in expression to as they read. As Grace pointed out in the chapter, it's not real clear, it's kind of a chicken or an egg. Are they not reading fluently because they don't understand, or are they not understanding because they don't read fluently? But I think that if we give them some real concrete strategies for phrasing, breaking down sentences into phrasing, and also practicing with emphasizing some key words in the sentence, then I think that we can give them some strategies for improving the fluency, which definitely, as that fluency improves, will lead to better comprehension. Okay, thanks.